Earlier, we started as a custom development shop doing development in Java, C++, later in .NET, then PHP and Ruby on Rails, so basically all trendy technologies out there. But we also do integration and support of lines of products from various vendors like SAP, Salesforce, Microsoft. We work with Microsoft Dynamics Stack as well as SharePoint, all the versions of it. Plus, we work with open source solutions starting from just web content management system down to BI solutions like Alfresco, for instance, or a Liferay portal solution. And we also use several technologies that we normally have handy that we offer our clients to apply for this or to cover this or that business need. So it can be Jira, it can be Drupal, it can be Joomla, and some other, if we're talking about web content management systems.
Right.
We also have a bunch of products in the commerce area and other ones. You know, it's hard to outline all technologies and products that we use because we have clients who use Microsoft environment in-house and they based all their solutions on Microsoft line of products, and we have vice versa clients who have open source infrastructure and they want a Linux-based type of products. So we have to be flexible and we have to adopt certain technologies to match business needs. But like I said, set of services starting with technology consulting, software prototyping normally, then development to integration of certain enterprise level application or web solution, and then we do support and testing of solutions that we deliver, so we try to provide full cycle of services. If we're talking about, the perfect client for our company, I would say there are two types of those. First type of clients, I already mentioned it earlier, is a startup company with R&D going on in-house, maybe CTO and CIO taken care of with system architect of requirements, clarification of all the specification documents. And when we introduce our services to them, we normally start with business analysis, verified questions, and then we set up product development team. So we're not only doing simple coding or testing, we also try to come up with the plan how we're going to launch this solution to the market, when the alpha version will be introduced with major features to the clients, when the beta version will be introduced, how the solution will be supported, where it will be hosted, how the QA process needs to be, what type of QA services needs to be done on this product to make sure it's fast, reliable, and scalable. So it's one group of clients, basically startup companies with very limited IT staff on board. Not only software development, but it's the biggest part of most of the project, but also in terms of analysis of their business needs, review of competitors out there, maybe rely on our advice in terms of which technology to choose, as well as they rely on our support and maintenance, which is very important. As soon as they start to get clients on board who wants to subscribe to their software as a service solution or download their products, they of course need to make sure that they can handle all the flow requests. So we also provide support and maintenance. So yes, we try to do as much as we can, not to just program the solution, but to deliver product which will be well accepted by the market, which means our client will grow and we will grow together with them. The second type of customers, the ideal client of Itransition is, I would say, Fortune 500 company with experienced staff and processes who not necessarily have a capability or skill set to handle a project. And we're pretty flexible. We work with clients and we always try to be transparent as much as we can to basically show them way to go, how to reach this goal, and what will be basically how they can get most value for the money that they pay us. We normally, like I said, we start with solution elaboration, with technical consulting before we go into development process or software integration process. So it's basically we aim for long-term partnerships with our clients when we not just deliver one product, we deliver a full cycle of services around this product, as well as we define let's say, the whole IT strategy sometimes together with them, and we make them kind of look at the bigger picture from a technical standpoint and how they will bring more value to their business through technology. A good example here is probably Pearson Education, a company from Boston, who have internal IT team, and they do parts of the development with us, as well as we do all independent quality assurance, like load, stress, performance tests, functional testing, localization work for them. And they don't want to grow this QA team in-house because it doesn't make sense. You know, the project will be finished, let's say, in 1 year or a year and a half, and what's it going to do with all these people? Another good example is Philips, for instance. They have only R&D resources in-house who basically coming up with wireframes and specification, but they don't want to take care of the coding, testing, and deployment of solutions. And they also need our technical advice in which platform to choose, which platform will be easier to support and more cost-effective in the long run, as well as, you know, what team size and type of resources we need to dedicate to a certain project to make most out of it for the budgets that they have. Normally, we aim at a long-term relationships with our clients. When we start with maybe a smaller team, so 5 to 7 members, taking care of a fixed price project, but then eventually, as soon as client is happy with the results and we have all the processes and methodologies aligned, then clients say, okay, I want this kernel team to work as a dedicated team for me for the next year or 2 years, and then I also need this and that type of resources on top of it to help me with other projects, for instance, or to expand my in-house IT team. The average would be from 10 to 20 people working on a mid-sized project for over a year, but we also had cases when we had to set up a team of over 50 people within 1.5 months' time. And this was a big project for Toyota Motors, actually, and it was really challenging but also interesting. And talking about the time to get the team in place, so kernel team up to 10 people can be formed within 4 weeks' time. If we're looking at a bigger team, well, yeah, it's rather fast compared to local companies here in Austin now. Local competition who have resources in-house, all the resources in-house in Texas, I mean, but, you know, sometimes we have to be very flexible and to match business needs of our clients. We need to grow team rather fast, adding 5 people every 2 weeks. So, you know, and of course it's not easy, especially not just to form the team, but to keep the team together, but we managed to do it successfully. Actually, embedded is rather unique because most of the engineers in hardcore C and embedded Linux, they work for like networking infrastructure companies or manufacturing companies. But we managed to keep the team since the very beginning of the company till now, 40 people who are seasoned embedded professionals, and they work on various levels of development, starting with industrial design down to development of drivers, application of various industrial protocols to this or that type of software. Majority of people on this team, they have over 10 years of industrial programming experience, so really projects that are in use, and they can show, you know, where their piece of software is installed on this elevator, for instance, or in this car. They have to go down to this level of deepness, let's say, try to understand how the hardware piece works, how the firmware works, what industrial protocols and standards are behind this product, and they need to have expertise in debugging it and understanding how to improve the solution or how to port it from one system to another system, from one piece of hardware to another.
The other thing that this client says is that, hey, we're having the hardware developed in China or Taiwan, and those guys are great at developing the hardware. In fact, if we design it here in North America, we're going to choose all the wrong parts, all the wrong layout with respect to cost. You know, so when it's designed and eventually manufactured in China or Taiwan, they know what to choose because it'll keep the manufacturing costs as low as possible. But software, forget it. Those guys, for some reason, they just can't develop the software quickly, accurately. It just has not worked out for them. So they have this quandary of gee, we really want to have the hardware designed and developed in China, but we want to have the software developed elsewhere. And how do you coordinate those two? Have you run into that problem with embedded clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Majority of companies, they order their hardware in China or Taiwan or, you know, Korea, and we have to work with teams over there. Some of our clients, they don't even want drivers to be developed over there. So they actually ordering the hardware. We have to, go down to this level and then develop drivers, develop all the integration solution and installation packages, and then have to develop the software on top of it for the end user to be able to work with this hardware. Yeah. So we have experience when we manage even delivery of certain shipments of hardware over to US and to Europe, and we helped our client to also support this, the package solution, because support over there is limited to maybe changing certain things in the next delivery of the hardware, but we need to provide a support and maintenance center to understand where the problem is and to try the end users to overcome this issue. And, any company who works in a global market now and has embedded expertise in-house, they need to be ready for, overtime work, communicating with guys in Asia when the time difference is sometimes 13 hours. So, it brings some certain limitations, but in general, so far we've been able to manage this process.
Denis, one of the unique things I know about Itransition is you have an independent QA service. Why don't you tell us more about that?
Back in 2004, we came up with the idea to establish an independent company and make this service proposition unique for the market, to give independent quality assurance and testing to clients who possibly not develop their software products with us, but want to have independent vision on quality, robustness of their product, security, etc., etc. So we decided to promote this service, and it's been successful so far. We have 140 QA engineers working as an independent group of people promoting quality assurance services for the clients who have development teams in-house or using some other development teams rather than Itransition. And this is a totally independent service with own staff, own processes, and own training labs, because quality assurance is rather different from development, obviously, and it needs a little bit different type of resources in it. So that's one service that we able to deliver to the market, and it was very well accepted by the market, and the demand is growing, especially with the amount of startup companies who possibly launch the product and they have the product, but they reach a certain limit when they are unable to scale it, and they need to understand where the problem is, and we need to find this problem and provide recommendations to their development team. They have a proper test lab with full set of devices, test automation tools, bug tracking systems. So the whole environment, obviously, our clients don't need to purchase any licenses. We already have everything in-house, and we're able to cover, I would say, 99% of needs. So they normally start with functional manual testing, and then they go to test automation when it makes sense, and then they also provide special services like performance tests, for instance, when we have to emulate a lot of users, trying to use the service.